Welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for clicking. To my returning family, the Visionaries, thank you for your continuous love and support. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please feel at home. Have you had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel yet? If not, take a second, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to like and share. I'm always amazed when I discover a leader that is a visionary, who has foresight and can predict what's going to happen in the future, whether in business or in politics. And recently I came across a couple of videos that presented a leader just like this, and I want to share it with you today. When I was scrolling through YouTube, I came across a video where Julius Malema was interviewed 10 years ago, and the journalist asked him, "Why are you starting a new political party?" And Julius Malema shared his perspective that the ANC had evolved and changed. It was no longer the ANC it used to be. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Case in court. Why have you decided to consult people with a view to forming a political party?
Look, the ANC has degenerated. I think we're holding into a name called the ANC. I think it's a former itself. It's no longer what it used to be. It's not the ANC of O.R. Tambo, Thabo Mbeki, Nelson Mandela. It has become an enemy of the people. It acts in the interest of white monopoly capital. And we need to engage in a process and find a solution as to what is to be done.
Many people have said, no, this is an act of self-preservation. You're using this, you're saying to the ANC and to Jacob Zuma in particular that, look, I've got some support. If you don't bring me back into the ANC, I'm going to unleash it.
No, I've said to the ANC, take me back without talking about parties. Now I'm talking about a process which doesn't include in its options. There's no option that says, take Malema back, will remain in the ANC. We are advancing an alternative program. We want expropriation of land without compensation. We want nationalization. We want to bring the dignity of black majority in South Africa back.
Where has expropriation of land without compensation worked?
No, it doesn't mean if it doesn't work anywhere, it can't work here. And for me, it has worked in Zimbabwe. They are very successful. And capital has ensured that it sabotages that political program because they did not agree with it. But the resilience and determination of Zimbabweans has ensured that at least we now start
we have an estimated 2 million, 3 million Zimbabweans living in South Africa.
How many Nigerians do we have here and they've not taken the land?
Way less.
So why do you want to talk like Zimbabweans are the only people in South Africa?
No,
you are using that number to justify a political disagreement.
I'm saying to you, compared to Nigeria, Zimbabwe that is why it's on the agenda at SADC, at AU, at all these forums, because it's a basket case.
Don't use the Zimbabweans in South Africa to justify a disagreement with a political stance. There are a lot of foreigners in South Africa, not only Nigerians, Italians, and the English, so it must never be reduced to Zimbabweans.
Now this video was from 10 years ago. How was it that Julius Malema had the foresight and saw the writing on the wall that he knew that the ANC was evolving and changing and he wanted something different? For me, I think it's because he stayed true to who he was. He was about total liberation, the return of the land, and of course, economic freedom. I was scrolling through those videos again and I came across another one by another African leader, this time by former President Thabo Mbeki from a year ago, where he was speaking with the audience on what was happening in South Africa, the many ups and downs and how things have evolved. He shared his perspective of why he, in good conscience, could not go out and campaign on behalf of the ANC as it had changed, how he couldn't ask the South African people to go and vote for criminals. Let's listen to his perspective.
And that is why I'm saying this question that was raised by our colleague from the Northern Cape is important. It was not only people being marginalized after 2007 ANC conference. There's a whole process that takes place in this country which still we don't understand, of a systematic process to ensure that the democratic republic doesn't succeed. That's one of the things I think it's necessary for us to understand, because it would then help us also to understand even the question that's raised about crime. None of these negative things that happen in this period identified by the CEO of the Institute of Race Relations, none of them are accidental. None of them are a result of greed. Sure, there is greed. Sure, there is corruption. But at the base of it all is to make sure that we fail. It's necessary to understand that. What is it that is wrong in order to be able to find the right answers as to what is to be done? I must apologize for all of this long presentation, but I think it's a matter of strategic importance for the future of our country to understand what went wrong. I'm saying because there were deliberate processes put in place by some people to make sure that this democratic republic fails. That's a matter that we need to still discuss even with the ANC. I don't think the ANC understands that reality. It is true that you have got many greedy people, many corrupt people. If I ask the question, why is the ANC, which marginalized people as we are saying, why is it behaving like this? In 1997, Nelson Mandela says, addressing an ANC conference, that something wrong is happening, which is that as the ANC were attracting into our ranks, the people who are not ANC. People don't have the values of the ANC, but they can see that to be a member of the ANC is to have a step ladder to government in order to have the possibility to steal. So that's 1997. National Conference. That message has been repeated in all of the national conferences since then. But nothing has ever been done to get rid of these ones who entered into the ANC without carrying the value system. We beginning of 2020, we met 350 leaders of the ANC in Durban. We're talking about the ANC. So I make a presentation about the ANC, what the ANC is, what it stands for, and all that. And later, a young fellow stands up and says, President, I do not know this ANC you are talking about, because I joined a faction of the ANC. It's a faction recruited me, identified itself as a faction. That's the ANC I know. The ANC I know is an ANC organized in factions. This one you are talking about, I have never heard of it. This was illustrating a point that the ANC had accumulated within its ranks wrong people. Wearing ANC t-shirts, they know how to toy and to sing and dance and all that, but they are not ANC. So the 2017 conference, national conference of the ANC decided the ANC must renew itself, otherwise it will die. That was in December 2017. Nothing happened in terms of that renewal process, nothing. The last conference in 2022 repeats that message. The ANC must renew itself. nothing has happened so far. But the ANC must renew itself. I say to the ANC comrades that when you say I must go campaigning next year, to say to people, vote ANC. How am I going to do that? To say, vote ANC. When I know very well that the branch of the ANC in this constituency is led by a criminal. You can't. It's not possible to go and say vote ANC for a criminal. The renewal process is important. But now, colleagues, I'm sorry to be talking ANC politics to you. The obvious challenge with regard to that renewal process is that as people talk about this ANC must renew itself because it had accumulated wrong sorts of people who are now doing wrong things, being greedy, corrupt, and all this. I look at myself and I say, it's going to catch me, this process. So what do? I must block it. I must make sure it doesn't happen. I'm answering our colleague from the Northern Cape to say, let's objectively look at the reality he was talking about. It's a much larger reality of, I was saying, a systematic process to destroy the democratic state all around. I'm talking about even the governing party, which has got people within itself who will resist its renewal and therefore perpetuate this reality that you've got people in the ANC who are greedy, who are thieves, who are corrupt. To perpetuate that, if you don't renovate, you don't renew the ANC, you will perpetuate that. That's the reality we've got to deal with. So the question remains, like on the crime issue, what is to be done? What do we do to defeat these people who systematically want to destroy this democratic state?
Wow. Does it sound familiar to you? Does this something ring in your ear? Something familiar from recent times? Yes. On December 16th, former President Zuma made a big announcement where he also shared his perspective on how the ANC had evolved and changed and was no longer the ANC from the former days. He shared how he could not campaign in good conscience for the ANC and in fact would be voting for the MK. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
This seems like a deliberate plot to kill the ANC. I've been left with no alternative as a faithful servant of this organization that I love and believe in, but to do something to correct the wrongs within the organization so that we can restore the confidence of the public in the vision of the ANC and regain their trust and support. We need to rescue the ANC and bring it back to the organization that we know, love, and trust. This requires drastic action. Before stating what we're going to do to rescue and restore the real ANC vision, let me tabulate a few of the current pressing issues on which I base my distrust of the current ANC of Ramaphosa as a proxy of white monopoly capital, which must be distinguished from the real ANC. Firstly, the ANC kept quiet when the powers of the president were taken away in the appointment of the chair of the commission on the so-called state capture. This symbolized an opportunistic amendment of the Constitution of South Africa. Secondly, the ANC kept quiet when it became clear that the 2017 National Conference and the position of president had been stolen or bought by forces outside the organization for an amount of 300 million rand, which the president admitted under oath, and the estimated amount of 1 billion rand or more, found by the public protector in her Bosasa report in which Ramaphosa was fingered. Thirdly, the turning point for me was a misguided statement made by the ANC president that the ANC is accused number one for corruption in South Africa. Neither the leadership of the ANC and the NEC nor the membership at the most recent national conference saw the need to challenge or change that incorrect statement. Fourthly, the ANC expelled its Secretary General using the selective application of the so-called step-aside rule, but will now allow the president, who is also facing criminal charges, to top its list for the next election. Fifthly, the ANC stood idle when 400 black people were massacred in KwaZulu-Natal following the avoidable July 2021 unrest caused by the Constitutional Court and Mr. Raymond Zondo due to my imprisonment without trial under the ANC of Ramaphosa. Sixthly, the last straw was when, due to the public protector's 31 questions in the investigation of the Phala Phala scandal, she was suspended and then impeached by the ANC, DA, and Freedom Front working together. I have now been told that the ANC of Ramaphosa has decided to vote in favor of the impeachment of Judge President Hlophe and Judge Motata. The ANC of Ramaphosa has declared war against progressive black professionals and intellectuals. Lastly, the ANC of Ramaphosa has plunged the country into darkness with load shedding, which has ruined the economy. This could have easily been avoided by keeping the best management with successfully prevented load shedding and adopting nuclear energy many years ago. Today, we are told that nuclear power has suddenly become affordable. These are just some of the key reasons for my answer to the question, what is to be done? Some ANC leaders have asked me to campaign for the ANC in the 2024 elections. For the reasons I have stated, and many others that I will share with the public in the coming months, I have decided that I cannot and will not campaign for the ANC of Ramaphosa. My conscience will not allow me to lie to the people of South Africa and to pretend that the ANC of Ramaphosa is the ANC of Luthuli, Tambo, and Mandela. It is not the ANC that I joined and went to jail for. In this regard, I fully agree with other former leaders like Comrade Thabo Mbeki and others that it would be a betrayal to campaign for the ANC of Ramaphosa. However, I also believe that it's not enough to withdraw from the ANC campaign, which will lead our people to more misery, poverty, racism, unemployment, deepening load shedding, and a government led by sellouts and apartheid collaborators. It is also our duty to guide our people in what to do in order to save our revolution from its enemies and to achieve the society envisioned by the Freedom Charter. I therefore wish to announce that in 2024, I will vote for the Umkhonto weSizwe MK party. It has already been registered with the IEC with my knowledge and blessings in response to various pleas expressed to me by some religious leaders, traditional leaders, former combatants, and other leaders in society. I call on all South Africans to join me in taking the important step.
Now, these are three very different leaders with different perspectives, but yet really wanting what's best for the South African people. All of them saying the same thing. I had to pause and ponder on why this was. That Julius Malema spoke about this 10 years ago, but now other veterans of the ANC are finally speaking up. Definitely foresight and leadership has been evident with Julius Malema. And no matter what your political perspective is, you have to agree that he definitely had foresight on this topic. And now that the other leaders are coming forward and speaking up on how the ANC is no longer the same ANC from the past, One would hope that the voters will definitely do their research and understand what the ANC stands for and how they're going to vote based on what these perspectives of very respected leaders have been in the upcoming elections in 2024. But I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas on this. Drop them in the comments below and let's have a conversation, not only on what the leaders have said, but definitely on the foresight of Julius Malema. How is it 10 years ago he could predict that this would come to fruition? Amazing in my perspective. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them below. Let's have a conversation. And don't forget to hit the notification button, like and share. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.